Welcome to Buy Local TV, where we're promoting Michigan businesses, communities, and its people. In this episode, we'll take a look at a piece of Greenville history, the Fighting Falcon, the most famous combat glider of World War II.
The Fighting Falcon Museum got its start in the summer of 1993 when a lady named Laura Seek, who was the secretary to the, I believe, the superintendent of schools. She said, "I understand that you had a lot of experience at Gibson Refrigerator when they were built." And I said, "Yes, I was the tool engineer on that project when it started in early April of 1942. She said, "Well, would you be willing to be a consultant, technical consultant, to a group of school kids that would like to restore a glider?" And I said, "Yes, I would, but there's another man that lives in Greenville that worked at Gibson and was one of the main cogs in manufacturing gliders. His name was Eric Gunther." However, I have to say this, that we had our doubts that school kids could restore a CG-4A glider. It was a monstrous project. Our first problem, once we started accumulating parts and assemblies, which we happened to find quite a few right around Greenville, was where are we going to get a building to restore this? So we found an old building that the Ore-Ida company, the potato plant out northeast of town, let us use an old building there, and we got started. And as it turned out, Eric and I's opinion about the kids not really being able to do this turned out to be true, because in the first place, they were never available when we needed them, and it was too technical a job for young people to do. They didn't have the experience. So they really just, they dropped out by themselves. They sort of gave up. So Eric and I took it over, and we found a bigger building that we really needed out on the river road south of Greenville, owned by a man named Stan Jorgensen, who was a World War II veteran. And he said, "You can use my building at no charge." And through the next 12 years, Eric and I and a small handful of people restored the glider that you see in the museum here today. Early World War II days, right after Pearl Harbor in early 1942, the Air Corps let contracts to 8 different companies to build gliders. Gibson Refrigerator here in Greenville, and Ford Motor Company from the Upper Peninsula plant of theirs were 2 of the companies, and the other 6 were all small aircraft companies, not large aircraft companies. They were busy building fighters and bombers. Gibson, during the war years, our contract, we built 1,085 gliders. These gliders were designed to hold 13 infantrymen, 3 in each of these 4 seats, and then the fold-down seat back here, the 13th. And then a pilot and a co-pilot, which means 15 passengers in a glider. The glider was towed by a twin-engine C-47 aircraft, and the tow line that you see there was 300 feet long. That's not a complete tow line, it's just part of one, but it was 300 feet long. They were usually towed into combat at night. They were really dangerous things in a sense, because they were towed at about 600 feet altitude, which is pretty low. When they were cut loose from the tow plane, they didn't have a lot of choices about where they were going to land. They had to come down, and they couldn't make over about a 180-degree turn, and they had to land. So if there were trees or buildings or some other gliders in the way, they just crashed into each other. So in practically all of the invasions in which gliders took a part, there was probably 40% casualty rate before they even really got into combat with the enemy. The gliders were used for other things other than carrying combat infantrymen. The nose section right here there's a latch that locks it on both sides. That unlatches, and this whole front end goes up in the air. And then these seats are out, and these two things here are ramps. So the ramps go down, and you can put a Jeep or a 75-millimeter gun and a gun crews. They could haul all kinds of materials in them: gasoline, food, and just about anything. The wingspan of a glider is normally 85 feet. Well, the reason we couldn't put 85-foot wings on this restored aircraft was I couldn't get permission to build a wider building than we have. So we had to put these stub wings, just to give people an idea about what the wing construction was like. Another thing we did when we restored the glider, we left the fabric, you notice, is all off from this side and the bottom. And we did that for a basic reason, is that it gives people and visitors an idea to see what the glider was like. It's not just an olive drab hulk of an aircraft. Now, there are 6 of these restored gliders in museums all over the world, and ours is the only one that left the fabric off from one side. And most of the curators of these other museums, I know them, and they said, well, frankly, we wish we'd left the fabric off the side of ours.